What's going on, guys? Ches Critta. Okay, I want to address some dissenting speech that I got in a couple of videos back, and this happens quite often, so I might as well make a video on it right now. And this is the proverbial you have no idea what you're talking about, or collapse hasn't happened yet. Now, I want to address a particular comment, and this is from VixWeb1. He says, in 1987, the Surgeon General sent a mailing to every address in America about HIV/AIDS. Now we don't even hear about it anymore. In 2000, all computers were going to stop. 2008 to 2011, financial markets were supposed to collapse. I'm fed up with 25 years of lies. And he goes on to say that I don't have any credibility left. Now, VixWeb1, I completely understand your point of view. There have been many experts that have been calling this for years, and so far, none of them have been proven right. But I think that that's being really discounting, some things that are unprecedented that have never, ever happened before in the history of mankind, with numbers so large that they have really been unheard of up until very recently. And to have a collapse, you are going to have to get a general consensus change one way or the other. Hyperinflation, a currency collapse, stuff like that. It isn't necessarily a monetary event, it's really a confidence event. Now, I want to show you some of the stuff that I look at personally, because this is stuff that I don't really feel like boring everyone with, but I think it is valid stuff to look at, and this is how I back my arguments up, and we'll go over that in a little bit. Now, first of all, this first chart I want to show you is housing prices in the United States, okay? You've got the inflation-adjusted rate and nominal. We'll go inflation-adjusted rate. Okay, if you look at the inflation-adjusted rate, they really took a huge spike up here, okay, leading all the way up until about between 2005, 2006, and then you had the waterfall event. Now, down at the bottom here, this is where everyone was freaking out, and then all of a sudden, everything turned to green shoots, and you got that little spike up there from the very bottom. Now, it meandered sideways, made a double top, and continued to basically arc over and go back down. Okay, it's still got a ways to go, in my opinion. But housing prices is a huge economic driver in the economy. Now, until you get those to go back up or stabilize at some point, and they were looking like they stabilized, but they never really did, that's going to be a big deal for manufacturing, for the construction sector. That's part of the reason why the jobs market really hasn't rebounded like it should have. Now, as far as jobs, this is where some trickery comes in, and this is where I really urge you to check your facts if you're into that sort of thing. First of all, the unemployment rate. The chart you see in front of you is a labor participation rate. A labor participation rate is basically the percentage of the workforce that's participating. Okay. Now, the unemployment rate, you'll hear the White House and everyone else tout the fact that, well, it's gone down. I mean, we're in the 8s, and we were at 10.2% unemployment, so that's another sign. The president and all these people, the pundits on CNBC, who have a vested interest in making sure that the stock market and everything goes back up. But I want you to look at this chart. As of 2008, 2009, you get the original waterfall event. Again, you get the small spike up, and then a 45-degree angle straight down up to today. Now, this is something else. If you don't have people out there working, they're not going to contribute into the economy. Okay, these are wages that are not being earned, they're not being paid out, and this huge gap that continues in a downward motion is being made up with by stimulus. But again, that is not real productivity, okay? These people that don't have jobs are collecting unemployment. So, moving right along. The national debt. This is always a fun chart to show because it shows the absolute parabolic move in the United States national debt. Now, this is not a logarithmic chart, which means that you're not going to see a steady line like you would if it was by factors of 10. But it's still pretty staggering to see how much debt we've added. Now, this isn't even current. I mean, current rates, 2012, where we sit now, are not orders of magnitude, but are much higher than these last two bars that you see on this chart right here. Okay? This is where everyone's talking about the fact that we're injecting liquidity into the markets. We're buying all of our own debt at this point, which is akin to printing money, except for we're just offsetting it with debt that will never be paid. So, go figure there. But again, this is something that shows no signs of slowing down because tax receipts are not coming in. Again, let me cite the unemployment rate there. These tax receipts are not coming in to pay this down. Okay, and on top of that, now Bernanke is saying that, well, we might have really slow growth, and if we do, and looks like we're going to head towards recession, which would make this number go even higher unless you decide to lay off half the government workforce, that's going to be a huge problem going forward. And a lot of the people that hold these securities, i.e. China, are warning us, and have been for a long time, that that's a dangerous path to follow. Now, taking into consideration those two things, let's take a look at our students. Well, this here is student loan debt. Now we can see just at the end of the recession, student loan debt spiked way up. I mean, it went from $120 billion at the end of the recession to $340 billion. And I don't even know if this chart's current. It might be even higher than that. It's probably closer to 360. This is debt that's being taken on that is backed by the government that will never be paid. Or, I'm sorry, that can't be repudiated in any way. So it's not going to be, wiped out through bankruptcy. It might not be paid in general. I mean, all this debt, the reason this has gone up so high is because students have figured out that, hey, the government's giving us free money so we can live, and we can just stay in school and get a higher degree because that's how we're going to get jobs. Unfortunately, you're coming out into a market with very few job opportunities. So that's a huge problem. And again, it's going parabolic with no signs of slowing down. More money being lent out by the government. And the final chart, the Consumer Price Index. This is another chart that is an example of trickery. Now we can see the top line, which I want to focus on right now, is the Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers. This is you and me. This is the price for stuff that we pay. The Consumer Price Index is not the inflation rate. They will cite the inflation rate. The inflation rate takes out food and energy. This does not. Can we see the difference here? Okay. And the other way that they will trick you is they'll show you the Consumer Price Index, but they will use a year-over-year change chart, which means that they show you percentages. Like, well, it gained 6% this year, but it dropped down to -2% during the recession. And then it came back up to 4%. But on that chart, it shows that it's below where it was in the peak, when in reality, it is higher than it has ever been. Now, the producer price index is on the bottom. You can see that that's all the way back up too. And that's the reason why the consumer price index is so high, because they are passing those costs on to us. So, you're in an economy where you're losing jobs, there is basically less to go around, and prices are higher. With a soaring national debt, no way to pay it off. I mean, where is the recovery going to come from? It's just a question of when, in my opinion. So, VIX Web 1, yes, I completely understand. And if you're not focusing on this stuff, I can say it's frustrating because you're like, I thought this was all supposed to collapse already, You guys are full of it. Well, I'm skeptical of anyone that says we have any sort of recovery here because I haven't seen it. Now, there are many people that have not been affected, but there are many people that have been affected very drastically. And I encourage you to go out there and do your research. But to come by, and not you, but there are many people that do this, and they come by, and their rebuttal to my argument is, you're an idiot, you have no idea what you're talking about, or you have no credibility, okay? You can say that. That's very easy to say. I could go on any video and say that. Now, there are plenty of people predicting all sorts of doom out there. There's people predicting the apocalypse. I don't even think you can show proof for that. There's people predicting the Mayan calendar, it's going to be some horrible thing. I don't know if there's proof of that. It's like a drawing with a snake and water coming out of its mouth. Oh, it means the end of the world. It very well may happen, but what I'm saying is, I look at these facts that show me and lead me to my conclusion. And to have people come by and not have their face on camera, not have any facts in their hands, no way to back up their argument, it really just shows me a lack of understanding, or the fact that they really don't have any grounds to stand on. And it's just a normalcy bias showing through. And guys, I mean, you know what I think's coming. It's a tsunami. The earthquake has happened. The tide's gone out. And there's a bunch of people standing on the shoreline saying, isn't this great, we can pick up seashells now. But there's a few people that say, hey, you know what, I think that ocean's coming back. And that's where we are right now, in my opinion. Now, it's merely a matter of time. I don't know. But if you want to make a counter-argument, pull up your own data. Please, by all means, I will accept any video response that has any sort of coherent thought, and I will listen to it. And, you know, hey, maybe you'll prove me right. Maybe you'll bring up something that I haven't looked at, that I haven't considered. I welcome it. But until I see that, you know, these comments where you just come through and just drop an opinion like you're an idiot, I'm sorry. You're almost like looking in the mirror and talking to yourself. All right, thanks, guys.